but dudes written's a product of my shrewd penning. Confused in it, I'm saying I've chewed mics to accrue likes, delusions, exuberant mic.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. So, if you're familiar with the Twitter machine, you'll know that there's a Twitter account called Women Posting Their L's. And what it does is when women say stupid things on Twitter, somebody contacts that account, they screenshot it, repost it, so that everyone can laugh at how stupid that woman is. So I decided to do something similar. We're going to do a pro wrestling version. And since none of these topics on their own is worth me sitting down talking about individually, I'd considered, let's just bring it all together in one video to talk about how stupid at least these 3 women are. Okay? So who are our 3 contestants for the week? One is Kenice Mobley, who is the new writer for Monday Night Raw, who apparently doesn't even know the people on the show. 2 is going to be Peyton Royce, who wasted about 10 or 15 minutes out of Vince McMahon's time and got herself fired. And 3 is Lita, who is still whining about the whole Matt Hardy Edge thing. So let's start with the newest one first, Kenice Mobley. So Kenice Mobley, according to Post Wrestling, is a stand-up comedian that has been featured on The Tonight Show, Vice, and NBC. So I guess she's pretty funny. I ain't never met a female comedian that was actually funny. But she is now the writer for Monday Night Raw. She's one of the writers. She's part of the writing team. She's going to say some stupid shit, but I want everybody to realize she's part of a writing team, okay? She's just one voice out of all the many voices, but she's a pretty bad voice. So for starters, she says she didn't know anything about wrestling, wasn't really even a fan of wrestling. But she had a background in film production and comedy writing, and that's really what got her the job. So, let's see. Here's what she has to say. Now, she apparently, I don't know when she started, but when the podcast came out was June the 7th, and she had not started yet. But the crazy thing is, you would think that you would watch the show to get sort of acclimated to the kinds of characters that you're going to be writing and who's on the show and all that kind of stuff. Here's what this lady said. So I am on the Monday Night Raw team. So there's Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. And the people I know that are on it are like Bobby. His name is either Bobby Ashley or Bobby Lashley. And I really should know that. He's like this giant black guy. And he and the people who are part of his crew, I know they call, or at least as of last year, they called themselves the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business, they wear suits and they're like, we're cool. This is the woman who's helping to write Raw. They hired this woman. The L belongs to the entire wrestling community. I'm going to post a picture of her so that we'll all get an idea of why this young lady likely got her job. Okay? So I'm not going to say it here, but once you see the picture, you'll probably get a good idea. For starters, she doesn't even know the people on the show. Second, she's not a wrestling fan. She's a fan of film. And here's the crazy thing. She said she went on a date with a guy. And this is the exchange that they had. I went on a date and this guy was like, don't you feel like he effectively said, don't you feel like you're diminishing your dignity writing for WWE? And I was like, I am getting paid to do the thing that I've been working on for 8 years. And this is this is 3 times what I make at my nonprofit job. So yeah, I'm going to take it. Basically, she doesn't know shit about wrestling, but she gets paid to write comedy, so she's going to do it. She doesn't care that if it's wrestling. And she's actually dating some weirdo who's like, but don't you think you're lowering yourself to be writing pro wrestling? I mean, it's like, so you can already tell what kind of social circle she kind of deals in, right? For starters, she does comedy for Vice, and Vice is not known for comedy. All right, and the Tonight Show is like, which Tonight Show? The Tonight Show ain't been funny since the 1980s. So, like, I don't understand this shit at all. But the L belongs to everybody, I really, after seeing this, I question whether watching Raw is something I could continue to do. After knowing how bad Raw is, I have to question. But like I said, she's going to be part of the writing staff. You know, it's just going to be like one writer among 100 writers. They're all. This is the good thing about Vince McMahon being the warlord of all wrestling, is that these idiots do not get to have that much power. They just get to pitch ideas. You know, they're just one of many people pitching ideas, and which I'm pretty sure she's going to get a lot of her shit shot down. She's going to get frustrated. She's going to probably work there for 5 or 6 months, make some money, and then quit. And you know what? Fine. You know, there's been plenty of writers who have been in this position, but this is all part of the whole diversity and inclusion gimmick. You know, we got to give everybody a shot. You know, the whole diversity and inclusion gimmick. It's nonsense. But that's just one. Now let's turn our wheels to a recently released wrestler by the name of Peyton Royce. So Peyton Royce says she... Oh, God, I have to read this. I don't know what podcast she went on, and I don't care. She says, I had in my head what I wanted to say, and Vince brushed it off very quickly. And I went, crap. I had an idea that I wanted to present, and he wanted to discuss other ideas. But I didn't have other ideas. This is what I wanted to talk about and put my time and effort into. Vince says, what do you do for fun? Me being me, the introvert and the homebody that I am, I had to let him know that I like to sit on the couch with my dogs and watch TV. Jesus H. Christ. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. He just stared at me, and in my head, I'm just like, make something up. And I can't make anything up. Nothing was coming out. I'm not a liar. I feel like he could have seen right through that. I basically said to him, I'm sorry, I'm boring, and I just like to be home on my off days. I didn't contribute much during that, unfortunately, and that's probably why I lost the job. Well, you know what? Normalize firing boring motherfuckers. She needs to get a hobby, right? She needs to do something artistic. This is why these guys have scripts. Most of them cannot think for themselves. It is ridiculous. He is 76 or some odd years old. You wasted precious minutes of his life. You wasted precious minutes of this man's life. You got Chelsea Green banging on the door with both fists trying to get into Vince's office to talk to him about any nutty idea that pops into her head. And she can't get on TV. And she says, oh, I probably got fired for being annoying. But here's Peyton Royce, who actually got time and only came with one idea, got it shot down, and then sat there and then pitched being a couch potato. I like to sit around in my jammies and scratch under my dog's chin. He should have fired her then. Why wait? I guess he wanted to wait for her to find her new love of skydiving and mountain climbing or anything. You should have made her like the female version of the Goon. Like, you know what? I have no idea. You don't have any idea. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make you walk around in a kimono. Fuck it. You know, if somebody get mad, you might get some heat. Who knows? We're going to put you in a goddamn hockey suit. Who cares? That's what he used to do to those guys in the 90s. They show up big and rough looking, and Vince is kind of like, what do you do, pal? And he's like, I used to work as a garbage man. I got it. Duke the dumpster Drosy. You know, or I like playing hockey. He's like, you're the Goon, pal. You know, what happened to that guy? I guess he's just so tired and beat down from all these idiots coming into his office with these stupid ideas. And some of them are just so goddamn dumb that they they get themselves canned. Oh, I cannot believe she went on a podcast and even talked about that. I would have kept that one to myself. That's just me personally, you know. So here's the main event. The main event is Lita, or Amy Dumas, who went on a podcast with Renee Paquette. And here's what she says in relation to her relationships, quote unquote. She says, like on my Instagram, still on social media, but meanwhile, all of the men involved, and I mean anything not controversial like being with CM Punk or Edge or Matt Hardy, I guarantee you they don't get asked about it. I know they don't get asked about it because they're dudes, and it's that double standard thing, And I think that at this point is probably what I hold on to, which with this feeling like the double standard. But I tell you, it's not easy. I mean, for sure, I almost quit amongst the whole love triangle. But at that point, not only was it so hard, it was also out of shame. I wasn't proud of the way I conducted myself. And yes, if I had to do it all over again, I absolutely would have handled myself different, but I didn't. And so I was very much like, make the bed, you lie in it at that point. I was just kind of, I deserve all of these terrible things everyone is saying to me. I deserve not wanting to wake up every morning. And so that was very difficult. And it was really difficult also as time passed to let myself off the hook. The only way you can move forward with your life, sure, you learn from your mistakes and you keep going, but you have to forgive yourself. So she was having a tough time. And all of a sudden, she's talking about the double standards. We know that they don't ask these guys about her. You know, they don't talk about, all the women CM Punk banged. And, they don't talk about Matt Hardy and they don't talk about their relationships. It's like, these are married guys. Why the fuck would a married guy be sitting around talking about all the things he did with other women on podcasts or anything like that? And besides, when it comes to CM Punk, there was a couple of women that were floating around. And they don't do it to all the women either, right? Like, nobody talks about Mickie James and John Cena. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody talks about CM Punk and Maria. Maria is a married woman. People are kind of like, okay, well, whatever. But Lita, out of all these people involved, is the only one that is not married and doesn't really have much of anything going for herself. So it's kind of like, this is kind of what you're known for, honey. You're just kind of like the girl who broke Matt Hardy's heart. And yeah, a lot of people don't like you. And yeah, it's kind of rough. I've seen people who have tried to defend this like, it's slut shaming. I'm like, why are you calling her a slut? You're saying, like, you're slut shaming Lita. I'm like, you're the one calling her a slut. I'm just saying she's a dumbass broad. And dumb broads do things that they shouldn't do. And any heat that she got, she deserved. And sure, Edge deserved some heat. He broke bro code and, was messing around with his friend's girlfriend. But he is not the one in a relationship with Matt Hardy. She is. It's her responsibility that if she doesn't want to be with the motherfucker, to tell him. The whole ordeal came up because of her behavior. So if she was uncomfortable doing anything, which I've heard that she said she was, that's her fault. She should have quit. Okay? She was, at this point, I think her career had pretty much already been over because she couldn't really do the Lita spots and stuff like that anymore. She had already broken her neck. So we were in a position where she was basically just getting paid to walk around in skimpy outfits and do nothing and just be there with Edge. She had to do some things, some of the, I've seen, I think we did a video, didn't we? Talking about how she didn't want to do the live sex celebration. Edge didn't want to do it either. For the record, Edge didn't want to do it either. They both were uncomfortable with it, but obviously they're not going to have sex on TV. I mean, anybody who thinks that, oh, they're telling them they're going to have sex on TV. It's like, clearly they're not going to, right? It's just, exaggeration to get people to watch the show. So I was uncomfortable doing it. Like, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure you were uncomfortable 15 years later. But this stuff is dumb. And every time Lita does any type of personal appearance or has any type of conversation, it's always a woe is me story. Every single time. This is like the 4th or 5th one I've seen, just in the last couple of weeks, of just a Lita woe is me story about how she was mistreated in the past and how people don't like her and she didn't do anything and she was made to do things that she was uncomfortable with and all this kind of shit. It's like, if Lita wants to be involved in wrestling, there's plenty of wrestling promotions that'll pretty sure that'll throw her some cash. That'll just to make appearances and do things, But if she just wants to sit on Twitch or whatever and bitch and moan and cry and whine, then so be it. But she's hit the wall pretty hard, and I think that's pretty much the issue. I wouldn't be surprised if in 10 years you have Paige doing the same thing. I used to get made fun of a lot because I was a cum dumpster. And it's like, well, you were what you were, and it is what it is. I do not want to have any debates with weirdos who are like, Why do you make fun of the women and not make fun of the men? It's like the guy's gonna look, if you put any type of female in front of most guys, he'll grin it, he'll clench his teeth and bear it. Just long enough to get the nut. Then in post nut clarity, he'll pretend it didn't happen or wish it didn't happen. Okay. Women have to be a little bit more discerning. The fact that a lot of these women made bad decisions is what it is. But it's also part of it is she keeps talking about it. It's one thing to just be like, I don't want to talk about it. That subject is dead. It was a long time ago. It was over a decade, right? It was over 10 years ago. So if it's over 10 years ago, you don't need to relitigate it. But because Lita lives in the past, this type of thing we got to deal with. So it's unfortunate. So to close this whole thing off, let's just say it's not smart to accept a job for which you are not qualified and which you have no concept of the product. It's just not smart. It's not going to make you look good. If your job is supposed to be representation, represent right. Make sure you know what the fuck you're doing. Go in there with your stuff together and not, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know what they call themselves as of last year. It's like, what the fuck? You didn't watch this Monday's show? In addition, it's not smart to be in a creative industry and be a boring, vapid person and then try to pitch ideas or complain about not getting TV time when you know in your heart of hearts, deep within it, that you are a boring, uninteresting, dry toast motherfucker. It's not smart. It's also not smart for you to do weird stuff with your boyfriend's friend 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 30 years ago, however long it was, and to still sit and wallow about it or be mad that people still ask you about it as they live on their lives and Matt Hardy's on baby number 6 or something like that. And all these other guys are pretty much moving on. And you're just kind of sitting there on Twitch. I don't know what, playing Minecraft. Miserable. I'm guessing you have to be miserable if you think about this stuff all the time. I wouldn't do that. I mean, I wouldn't do it. But people make different choices. All right, so thank you guys for listening. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.
I can only be great.